Yeah, this is correct. It's always an honor and privilege to have the last presentation spot after 2 days and being the one between you and a meal. So I'll try and keep this concise. Between you and your evaluation that then rewards you with a meal afterwards. So, is this it? Okay. So this presentation is going to highlight the work of the Water and Mountains team here in the Forestry Department at FAO. These are my colleagues who are part of the team. And our main focus is that we look at a landscape approach, we look at resilient communities, particularly in mountain areas, and we also focus on water ecosystem services. So why do we have a focus on watersheds, particularly in forestry at FAO? It's because according to the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, 75% of our freshwater, accessible freshwater, comes from forested watersheds. 90% of our cities globally use water from forested watersheds. And 40% of our global tree cover has been lost in watersheds according to WRI's Global Forest Watch. And when you see a tree cover loss in a watershed, you see an increase in the risk of erosion, water stress, and forest fires. So when it comes to resilient watershed management, we have two main goals: how to create enabling environments and institutions for watershed management, but also how to take an integrated landscape approach to risk and vulnerability. And at the moment, we have a number of activities. We are currently developing a handbook on how to integrate landscape approaches and risk. We also have a couple projects. One is being developed for Iran, specifically looking at integrated watershed management approaches to address water scarcity and drought, as well as a watershed project in Morocco. And our team also serves as a secretariat for the European Forestry Commission, which has a working party on the management of mountain watersheds. That actually has two working groups within the working party, one focusing on forest and water, and another one looking at disaster risk reduction. So why do forests and water matter? 4 billion people globally suffer from water scarcity, and yet for about $2 per person a year, you can actually use forests to produce high quality water. We also see that mangroves in particular provide a lot of ecosystem services, and these are often undervalued, resulting in mangrove loss. And there are a number of people who are involved in the forest sector informally. So there are three main goals for forest water. The main is actually how do we mainstream water considerations in forest management and activities. We promote an integrated forest water approach to landscape management and planning, and we also look at how to maintain the protective function of forests, mainly riparian forests. And interestingly enough, actually, globally, 25% of forests are managed with water as a primary objective for forests and water, or for water and soil conservation. Asia has 33%. I would have loved to give you data for India, but unfortunately our most recent forest resources assessment did not have data for India specifically on water and soil conservation. So I invite you colleagues to fill that data gap. In terms of our forest and water activities, we are in the process of developing a forest and water monitoring tool, which I will try and show you a beta version in a moment. We're also developing a forest water nexus training guide. This is actually a facilitation guide to help people facilitate or provide training workshops on how to include water in forest management. And the pictures that you see here are actually from a training that we conducted in the Khasi Hills of the Meghalaya state in India in 2017. We're also conducting a study to better look at what is the link between forested watersheds and urban water supply. And we're conducting a national determined contribution study to look at how forest and water are mentioned within the NDCs to better understand what are the priorities of countries when it comes to the climate change agenda. And we have another event. So I'll show you this tool. It's very much in the early stages. But the point is to how do we consider water when it comes to forest activities? What indicators should we be measuring for? And we may have a technical issue. I don't know, it's thinking. Anyway, so the tool actually looks at what are the indicators that we should be looking for regarding forest-water relationships. There are 6 indicators in total. The first priorities being water quantity and water quality. What is the water quantity and quality coming from forested ecosystems? We then also we have indicators looking to what extent integrated forests and water policies. Nope. This. Oh. Anyway, the tool doesn't seem to be working. No. Okay, so I'll quickly sum her up. But as I said, there's 6 indicators, one on water quantity, one on quality. We also look at how forest water is integrated in policies or management. And ultimately, we look at if you have forests that are managed for water, do you see the socioeconomic benefits from this? So if you have, for example, a payments for ecosystem services scheme in place, do you actually see the stewards of the forest or the communities in the forest who are managing these forests for water, are they actually receiving the benefits from this? Let's see. Okay. I will provide you with my contact information at the end of the presentation. You're welcome to ask me for a preview link if you'd like to see it further. Let's get back. But the point of the tool, the way the tool would work is from a user perspective, we will have a guidance survey. We will ask a series of questions. What is your context? What kind of forests are you managing? What activities are you performing? What sort of resources, technical, financial resources are available to you? And then we can guide you to what would be the most appropriate indicators as well as the methodologies to measure those indicators. And we will provide a platform for you to enter in data as well as to geospatially reference that data. And the plan is also to help you to analyze this data as well. This tool should be available by the end of the year. So if this is of interest, please let me know. Lastly, why do mountains matter? Within our team, we have the Mountain Partnership Secretariat. Mountains matter because they make up 22% of the Earth's surface. Of course, you're quite familiar with some of the most important mountains in the world, being from India. 13% of the global population lives in mountains. Mountains provide, on average, 60 to 80% of our global fresh water. Again, a lot of these mountains are also forested. 25% of our terrestrial biodiversity is in mountains. There's also a lot of tourism in mountain areas. And despite the importance of mountains, 1/3 of mountain people face hunger and malnutrition due to issues related to agriculture insecurity. So the Mountain Partnership is a voluntary UN alliance that includes 362 members, 60 governments, 60 international government organizations, and 286 major groups or NGOs. and the Secretariat is hosted here in FAO Forestry. There are 4 main pillars under the Mountain Partnership, and this is advocacy, joint action, knowledge management, and communications, and capacity development. I wanted to highlight some of the capacity development activities that are done because I think these are most relevant to this group. Every year there is a course on e-promo. It's for 2 weeks on sustainable management of mountains. This is something you apply for, and it happens every summer, so July, here in Italy. There's also training on agrobiodiversity. We are currently trying to establish biodiversity indicators for REDD+. There's a mountain training of trainers to ensure a participatory guarantee system. This relates to kind of agribusiness. And FAO is also in charge of the Mountain Green Cover Index. This is part of the Sustainable Development Goal reporting for SDG indicator 15.4.2. We have a number of publications on mountains, mountain management, forests and water, and watershed management. These are all available on the website, which I will provide you in a moment. So thank you very much. These are all of our important links. They include discussion groups where we have experts, liaise. I realize that that slide is very small. But if you have any questions related to forests and water, in particular, please contact me. But our team is also welcomes you to contact us regarding watershed management and mountain management issues. Thank you very much. I'll keep it short.